You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I've been on the flex since flex zone. Neighborhood all in your eardrums. I ain't never scared like Bone Crush. Boy, I got God, don't fear none. My line busy, take no calls. Feels like I don't have no flaws. Snakes in the grass, cut those off. Yo, squad shady, my bros raw. No breaks, we go, 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 go. Throw shade, that's a no, no, no. Go high, go low, low, low. Like spinning in a 644. Cash money like 504. Ball like AD24. No sleep, need more, more, more. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Ooh, I'm a real one, my day ones. Try speak up, can't say none. Try dig dirt, there ain't none. save up. 10, 10, 80, my save ones. Take to the top on the baseline. New car, race on. Fast lane, pace on. With the booyah, that's a flex. Not human, I ain't from another planet. I'ma teleport, might vanish. I'ma wake up, do damage. Jordan number 7, he's bored though. Working all night, need more though. I remember nights I was poor though. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
It's Tuesday night, Forza Motorsport Spec Racing here live on Twitch TV. Let's get it going. AMS Storm now here on lap number 34 of 34, jumps into the top spot. And here comes Maverick now, going to make a run to the inside on Drex, perhaps missing his mark. Yeah, here we are. We're back live. Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 45, about to get underway here on a Tuesday night. Hope you're having a good one. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, perhaps, if you're on the other side of the time zone, the dateline. Yes, the dateline. Appreciate you tuning in. X-Venture here live on Twitch TV as we get ready for week number 1 of season 45, coming off the heels of LS Subaru's third straight FM4 championship. That's crazy. 3 straight. Only one other driver had been able to accomplish that prior to LS Subaru. And now, as I sit here talking to you all, I see LS Subaru in the lobby. Could be trying to go for 4 straight, which would be a first out of 45 seasons in FM4's history. All right, so just a little bit of a flashback to what I'm referring to here. Season 44, LS Subaru with the 400 points at the top of the leaderboard. That is a perfect 400 points. That is the max that you can get in terms of championship points in any one season. You can get a total of 500 points in an entire season. Nobody has ever done that in FM4 or the Forza Spec Racing Series. Nobody has ever won all 9 races in a single season. I don't know if LS Subaru opted out of the final race last season just because, he didn't want to be the first to do that. Perhaps that's a thing that they're trying to just forever leave open and not actually have anybody sweep an entire season. I don't know. But LS Subaru, 400 points. Kratchum, 382. Audrex, 316 for your top 3. Then you have Darkser, Barney, Slow Motion Fire, Kuda, Ubernuts, Onion with Too Many Eyes, Patches, Riley, your top 10. Then you see the other 10 making up the top 20. And we had about 3 or 4 drivers outside the top 20, meaning that, this isn't everybody who competed in Season 44, but just those who made my top 20 list here for the broadcast. And for anybody who might be joining for the first time here in Season 45, or perhaps you're thinking about joining the Forza Spec Racing Series, this is a great way to kind of establish just a baseline benchmark type goal for you. Just see if you can hit that top 20 and end up on the leaderboard here as we do the broadcast almost each and every Tuesday. I know. Well, let's take a look at it here. Week number 1, that is tonight. Sonoma Raceway, the short circuit for 22 laps, followed by Sebring International for 13 laps with a chance of rain. I know it says rain. It's not for certain that there will be rain, but there is a chance of it. Where I will not be broadcasting here for Season 45 is 1 week from tonight, week number 2. I will miss it. It's going to be a good one. I don't know if anybody else might be able to broadcast it in the Forza Spec Racing Series. If anybody else is there to maybe just throw up their view of the racing action. But Circuit de Spa followed by Watkins Glen. Every time we go out to Watkins Glen in the Forza Spec Racing Series, it's always a good showing by the drivers. And so that's what's on tap for week number 2. Then I come back for week number 3 there on March the 22nd with Mugello Autodromo Internazionale. As a matter of fact, 2 Italian tracks there in week number 3, Mugello and Monza. And that's Mugello, the full circuit, not the short circuit that we saw last season, but the full circuit for 15 laps, followed by Monza for another 15 laps. And then week number 4, which is the penultimate week of Season 45, you got Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. No, that's not a misnomer here on the schedule. In Forza Motorsport 7, it is still known as Mazda Raceway, so we'll get to the whole WeatherTech thing in the next Forza Motorsport, I'm sure. But for all intents and purposes here in Forza Motorsport 7, it is Mazda. 19 laps out there in the deserts of California, and then Road America Full up in Wisconsin for 13 laps. And then the final week of Season 45, everything concludes with the 39-lapper out at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. There you go. That's a look at what is ahead here in Season 45. Should be a good one. The vehicle, you ask? You want to know what the vehicle is? I could tell you. It's the Fiat Abarth 695 by Posto, or perhaps Biposto, depending on how the Italians pronounce it. But it is 280 horsepower, 275 foot-pounds of torque, 1,923 pounds of vehicle curb weight. Little hatchback, little hot hatch at B600. That is the performance index in this season. I think the car starts out at a lower B-class performance index, and then all the upgrades have brought it up to B600. A lot of power, a lot of torque with a vehicle that has a very short wheelbase and not very wide, so it will be interesting to see how the drivers are going to handle the car all throughout the season, and it all really starts here tonight. Sonoma, all the twists and curves and ups and downs that there are out at Sonoma. Yeah, it is the short circuit, but even the short circuit at Sonoma is a pretty lengthy track. So that's the first one, and then we'll go out. We'll take the whole ups and downs part out of the equation when we go out to Sebring. No, check that, not Sebring. Or actually, is it Sebring? It might be Sebring. Hold on, I just totally had a brain fart. It is Sebring. I'm correct. I was thinking, for some reason in my head, when I said Sebring, I was thinking I said Silverstone because they're both flat tracks, and so I thought I was referring to the one that we aren't racing, but it is in fact Sebring that we are racing tonight. Flat track out there in Florida, but still with plenty curves and corners. All right, so we've got currently 17 drivers loaded up into the lobby. I see Old Man Baby Body. That's a new one for me, and what a name that'll be. That'll be a little bit of a tongue twister there in the rather exciting moments. Patches Riley, LS Subaru, our 3-time champion, 3-time back-to-back-to-back champion LS Subaru. Audrex, Gumby Greg, Modern Weapon, Slow Motion Fire, Fear the Fun, and we'll see the rest as we go on. Let's go ahead and jump on in here as they get ready for qualifying. 3 laps of qualifying out here at Sonoma. That first one being the standing start. The 2 will be the flying qualifying laps. Muertismo in the chat saying, good evening all, glad to be back racing, glad to have you. And first off the line is going to be SFM Darkster in the Tide car. Don't eat the Tide Pods, kids. Those are for cleaning your clothes. You don't eat them. Tide Pods, or just Tide, I guess, SFM Darkster's sponsor. It is real world businesses. That is the theme here for Season 45. The drivers have been encouraged to paint their vehicles up as such as we head to the farthest port of the track here. They call this the short track, and the only reason why is because it omits the infield area that you would otherwise take. But still, this is a pretty lengthy track as SFM Darks are now halfway as he comes through the S's now here on the backside of the Sonoma circuit. Partly cloudy sky, partly to mostly cloudy skies, but we do have the sun peeking through. So a nice sunny day here, easy to make out the vehicles, and SFM Darkser as he comes up to the NASCAR hairpin. I just call it that because they've got the, well, they used to have the NASCAR badging in here. I think it came out in Forza Motorsport 7. But there goes Darkser now chasing down that final corner, a little left-hand dog leg toward the start-finish line, and with that, we'll clock a 125.484 as everybody comes across the line. We'll see if anybody else is able to do him one better here on that standing start. Going to Patches Riley now. We've got a blue, what is that, Barilla livery. And the Italian flag up there on the rooftop. Patches Riley getting around out of turn number, it's going to be turn 2 and 3. And now you've got this uphill section here. Can't really see where you're going as you hit the top of that hill, clipping the apex, and then you come screaming down the hill. And we'll see cars go a little bit wide here during the race itself. During qualifying, they're trying to keep it within the yellow lines so as not to get a dirty lap, because a dirty qualifying lap is no good. It is no good for you. The fastest dirty time will always be slower than the slowest clean time in terms of grid order for the start of our race. There comes Patches Riley, and DWM Frog let me know that Barilla is pasta. Well, that makes sense. For the Italian, Fiat Abarth, 695. And this is, so I had to correct myself because in some of the promos of the season that I did on a few of my other streams, I was calling it the Fiat 500. For all intents and purposes, it's a Fiat 500. Beefed up, though, to be a track car. And so they, the folks at here at the Forza Spec Racing Series, they built off of that to take it up to B600 Performance Index here in Forza Motorsport 7. You got the Little Tykes livery here for, who is that? LS Barney. That's a good one. I like that, the Little Tykes design. But yeah, the 695. So it's a little bit more performance there in the vehicle. A little bit of a weight reduction, since it's not your daily driver. It would be the car that you haul out on the trailer to the track. And 1,923, which actually kind of surprises me that it's even that heavy. I thought it would be a little bit lighter than 1,900 pounds. Fooled me. Right now, LS Subaru, our 3-time back-to-back-to-back champion with a 120.5 as the top time. And we see SFM Darkser in pit lane. Well, that's not where you want to be during qualifying. He must have had a mistake here on this third lap and just said, well, forget about it. I'll pull into pit lane for some reason. Let's go to LS Subaru now, who has that top qualifying time. Now coming through the S's with Modern Weapon out in front. The vehicles are ghosted here during qualifying, so if Subaru were to catch up to Modern Weapon, would be able to pass through Modern Weapon's vehicle without any incident. But it looks like Modern Weapon is going to hold on to that, I don't know, one second lead, if that even. There goes Subaru closing in quickly as Modern Weapon throws some tire smoke there out the back of the front-wheel drive of Barth. And now across the line, there you go. A 1:20.569 is the final qualifying time for LS Subaru out here at Sonoma. Amos Huracan is out on the track, has the third quickest qualifying time right now, and once we jump out of the lobby, we'll be able to evaluate everybody's time and kind of get a feel for where people will be sitting on the grid for the start of the race. Unfortunately, I have to preface this each time we take a look at it, this is not arranged in order. Unfortunately, here in Forza Motorsport 7, it pays no mind to your quickest lap time, nor does it give you the ability to sort as such. It is purely based off of total time irrelevant. LS Unku with a 1:22.113. Let me go ahead and kick off the audio there so we could hear a little bit better. Old Man Baby Body, 1:23.121. Patches Riley with a 1:23.006. A 1:22.234 there for LS Barney. Cratrim with a 1:21.066. Mortismo coming back out onto the track here with FM4. Good to see you back here, Mortismo, with a 1:23.390. Gumby Greg with a 1:29.109. A 1:21.627 for Darkser. A 1:21.914 for Fear the Fun. Soul Motion Fire with a 1:23. MS Huracan with that third quickest time, a 1:21.275. 1:22.878 for Onion with Too Many Eyes. Modern Weapon with a 1:23.7. A 1:25.69. That is your pole setting time there for by LS Subaru. A 1:23.700 there for Cuda 93. A 1:21.9 for Audrex. Beer 98G. That's a good name to see back out there on the track. Haven't seen Beer in a while. 1:26.7. All right, let's go ahead and turn on over to the driver's spotlight here before we get ready for the full race out at Sonoma. Fear the Fun, how's it going? Season 45, ready to go. What do you make of the car?
I love the car, man.
Do you?
It just reminds me a lot of the Volkswagen Scirocco, and I was good in that too. So
the Volkswagen Scirocco, which is interesting you say that because, I mean, the wheelbase is a little bit different between the two cars. What are the similarities there?
They're front-wheel drive, first off. I mean, they're hatches. I mean, other than that, I mean, they're very different cars physically, but I like it. I'm good with it. I qualified fifth or sixth, I think.
Okay.
You know, I'm in front of, Unku and Barney. I'm never in front of fast people.
Yeah, well, that gives you optimism heading into the first race of the week here out at Sonoma. What is the car like out on this particular track? I know you say you like the car. We've got the flatter Sebring circuit coming up next in race number 2, but in terms of the change in elevation, all the corners, what is the handling like the cornering with the 695?
It's got a lot of grip. It likes to step out a little bit, but that's with any front wheel drive car that's got a no rear arrow in it for me, anyways. It's not bad. It doesn't like being touched by other cars. So, try not to run into people, try not to get run into.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not a terrible handling car. You just got to figure out your tunes and, hit your marks and you'll be good.
High power front wheel drive car. A lot of folks then immediately think understeer. Has that been able to be worked out with the tuning setup that you have, or that maybe somebody else has kind of provided to the league at whole?
The understeer isn't bad for me, but I've also spent a little bit of time tuning it for other people. I've heard a little bit about understeer, but I've took some time to actually go out there and dial it out as much as possible and add a little bit of oversteer. So the car likes to rotate a little bit more. So for me, it's good. For other people, I don't know exactly where they're standing. I'm hearing some understeer, but not a ton. Not as much as I heard with the Scirocco anyways.
Not so much understeer. Does have a tendency to kind of rotate around its center point. I can imagine with the short wheelbase car that can tend to happen. The first quarter of this track out here at Sonoma, and for folks who've watched racing, maybe NASCAR racing or any sort of road course racing out at Sonoma, that first quarter of the track or so is pretty interesting. You've got a lot of uphill corners, particularly one there, the second set of S's that you can't really see the back half of the corner until you're at the very top of it, and then you're just screaming down and getting ready to hang a right with a lot of runoff area over there, but yet a big concrete wall staring at you. So how do you avoid maybe the big incident here in lap number 1?
It's kind of, I mean, being cautious first off, not trying to be in a hurry. I don't know how many laps there's supposed to be, but I'm gonna guess it's probably around 15 to 20. Just gotta, bide your time, get around that first lap, let the field spread out a little bit, find your rhythm, and then go from there.
And lastly here, Fear the Fun in the driver's spotlight, getting ready for week number 1 here to kick off. LS Subaru, do you guys, are we able to stop him here in season 45? Are you able to stop him here in season 45 from being the 4-time champ?
Me? Hell no. But Huracan, I believe so. There's a lot of fast cars in here. I don't think there's as much disparity with drivers in this car. I think there's going to be a lot more parity with people because everybody seems to be a little bit quicker. I know for a fact Patches has gotten faster. I know Barney hasn't practiced at Indy, so he might go slower. We got new guys and not new guys, but guys that are returning in Gumby, Beer, and Martuismo that I can't say his name for the life of me. I think it's going to be a good racing.
I hope so. Fear the Fun, good luck to you. We'll see you at the finish line.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, too. All right, there you go. Fear the Fun in the driver's spotlight, our first to chat with us here in season 45. The drivers are getting readied up. And shortly we'll get the cue here from Slow Motion Fire that we are getting ready for racing, or going to go to racing. If you're new to the Forza Spec Racing Series and you're not sure about what we're going to see here in just a moment, they'll be on the grid, and you know that Forza Motorsport 7, it has that 3-second countdown, and then typically everybody goes at that point, right? Well, works a little bit different here in that if you are able to achieve the pole position here, as LS Subaru has done here for race number 1 out at Sonoma, you get to dictate the start of the race, and by that I mean you just have everybody pause out there on the grid. Nobody goes anywhere at the end of that countdown. And as soon as LS Subaru pulls away, even the slightest indication that Subaru is accelerating, everybody else is able to follow suit. All 17 other vehicles. Good to see 17 cars out here on the track for the start of season 45. Hopefully that can hold up all the way through. We'd like to see everybody, if you participate in week number 1, even if you have a bad showing that first week, maybe you have a bad appearance the first 2 or 3 weeks, just hang tight in there, see the season all the way through, and before you know it, we'll be wiping the slate clean, and everybody else will have a shot at it in season 46. All right, here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. Season 45 is underway under the bright skies of Sonoma, and already LS Subaru has jumped out to quite the lead, about a 2 or 3 car length lead here in the, I don't think it's technically listed as a Fiat. Obviously, its origins are as a Fiat 500, but this vehicle here in Forza Motorsport 7, simply known as the Abarth 695 by Posto. And here comes Huracan now in second, right there behind LS Subaru. Huracan started out 3rd overall coming out of qualifying, but has already moved up 1 position. Looking through the field, it is Subaru in 1st, Huracan in 2nd, Darkser, Fear the Fun, Kratrium, Audrex, Unku, Barney, Onion, and Patches Riley, your top 10. Let's go to 2nd position. It's Amos Huracan, who's already challenging LS Subaru for the lead. Gets on the rear right quarter panel, the passenger side, or is that the driver's side? Depending on which side the driver is on. I think the driver is on the left. And now as they go into hairpin, LS Subaru maybe a little bit harder on the braking than Huracan expected, and Huracan gives him a little bit of a love tap there on the back bumper of the 695. TMKCMO says, woohoo, week 1, let's race. There you go. I like the spirit, the excitement. Let me make sure my replay feature is humming along there in the background so we can defer to that if we need to take a look back at the action as they go up the hill once again here. Lap number 2 of 22. That 23rd lap that you see in the upper left, that will just be a cool down lap. So only 22 regulation laps. There's Fear the Fun. It looked like his vehicle getting a little bit, little antsy on the curbing back there as MS Huracan continues to harass the back bumper here of LS Subaru. The light speed driver that Subaru is. The LS insignia on the side of the car and the appropriately themed red and black paint job. LS Subaru's like, yeah, I know they're encouraging me to put a real world business on here, but man, I want to represent my LS squad here in esports, and that he sure is. Let's go ahead and ride on board here with AMS Huracan as they begin lap number 3. Just like that, AMS Huracan makes a pass coming through turn number 4 at the very top of the hill. And just like that, Subaru goes ahead and jumps out in front. And now they're going to go side by side through the S's here on the back stretch of the track. And for now, LS Subaru has jumped back out in front. A little jockeying for position right here. AMS Huracan is not going to wait until the latter half of the race to make a move. He's trying to go for it early and at this point often, as he takes a peek to the inside coming up here to the hairpin as we get a nice overhead view. LS Subaru on the low line riding up over the curbing, the yellow and blue curbing here at Sonoma, and they exit that into the dog leg, cross the line, lap number 4. As we take a look back at that action on lap number 3. And here is where LS Subaru reclaims first position. LS Subaru, a couple tires off into the dirt, able to keep 2 on the asphalt, maintain traction on the front wheel drive 695 B600 Performance Index here in Forza Motorsport 7. 280 horsepower, 275 foot-pounds of torque, 700 foot-pounds of torque. They rip these tires to shred. They are just sport tire compounds, 245s, 30s on 18-inch rims. And we'll run through the upgrades here a little bit later on for those of you who are curious. But right now, we've got ourselves one heck of a battle for first between Subaru, Huracan. As I take a look back, we've got Darkster there in 3rd position, followed by Craytrim, Fear the Fun, Odd Drex in 6th, Unku in 7th, Onion Too Many Eyes in 8th, Barney in 9th, Kuda 93 in 10th. That's 3 LS drivers, by the way. Subaru, Barney, and Unku. And then you got Patches Riley starting out the second part of the assortment of vehicles out here on the track. The back 7, if you will, followed by Slow Motion Fire, Mortizmo, Old Man Baby Body, Modern Weapon, Beer 98, and Gumby Greg in 17th. Kicking the dust up a little bit there is AMS Huracan trying to legally extend the width of the track. I say legally because as long as you keep the 2 tires on the racing surface, and preferably in between the white, or in the case of Sonoma here, the yellow lines, then you're all good. And sometimes that does have you out in the dirt a little bit with those the 2 tires outside the yellow line. Really, the name of the game here in the Forza Spec Racing Series is race clean. Keep a close eye on who's around you, and if you can do that, you're good to go. It doesn't matter how quick, how slow, or how in between you might be. If you're looking for some community racing here in Forza Motorsport 7, I may be a little biased, but I don't think there's any better place than with the folks at FM4. Reddit.com/r/FM4 there in the chat. The link, that is, provided by Nightbot. Head on over there when you got a chance. Take a look at the vehicle setup, the rules, and you too can race in week number 2 and still be in the running of the championship. Because of the drop week rule, your worst performing week out of the 5 will be dropped. And therefore, if you want to race starting in week number 2, well, that just means you've got to be on point through the remaining 4 weeks, or at least as good as you can be, and then try to improve upon that in season 46. It takes 2 to tango, and wow, do we have quite the performance here. LS Subaru able to hold off AMS Huracan. Why do I get the feeling this is not the first time these two have battled it out? I'm sure they've had their run-ins in Tora. I'm trying to remember if Subaru was a participant in some of the events that I used to hold in the virtual Autosport days here of the channel. But that's neither here nor there. We got plenty of action to pay attention to with the race going down here, and the 695 certainly lends itself to be quite an entertaining car to watch here on the track. It doesn't take up a lot of space. It is very nimble, very agile. Oh, and another little bump there. AMS Huracan perhaps getting a bit impatient with LS Subaru being out in front, says, I'll just kind of give you a little tap out the way. Fortunately there for Subaru, had plenty of runoff area to work with, and I think Huracan, rightfully so, was he brought himself off the pace a little bit so as not to take advantage of that contact. Let's take a quick moment to jump away. Let's go to Fear the Fun in 5th. He's behind SFM Darkser, who is currently running in 4th, and Fear the Fun telling us in the driver's spotlight there that you just have to be patient on that first lap, not get too antsy, not try to push it too hard so as not to create that accident on lap number 1. And sure enough, I think everybody came out of lap number 1 pretty well unscathed. No big incident there that I could tell. And Fear the Fun trying to chase down SFM Darkser. That's going to be one heck of a battle if he can catch up. And then out in front of Darkser, the very reliable, the very dependable, very consistent Cratrim, who has the most championships in the Forza Spec Racing Series history. Formerly known as C-Tom, now Cratrim. He's got more than a handful. I think he's closing in on double digits. I believe Cratrim currently with 9 championships in total, spanning the 44 completed seasons to date. Setsuna asks in the chat, is this the spectator mode of Forza Motorsport 7? It is. It's not great. It's not great. But it is the spectator mode, yes. Good to have you here, Setsuna, and I hope you'll be able to stick around a little bit here through the remainder of this race and on into race number 2 here this evening, which will be out at Sebring. We're staying stateside here in week number 1 before they head out to, what did I say that was going to be for week number 2? That's going to be Circuit de Spa out in Belgium, and Watkins Glen coming back to the States there for race number 4. Back up the hill they go. We've got these pairs of cars, Cratrim and Darkser, although a little bit more separation there. Then you got Fear the Fun and Audrex, quite a bit of separation there. And then you've got Onion Too Many Eyes with Barney right on his heels. Unku, the third of 3 LS drivers there in 9th behind LS Barney. Patches Riley, Mortismo, Kuda 93, Slow Motion Fire. Let's quickly go to Kuda 93 here in 12th position. Oh, Slow Motion Fire is going to go ahead and cut up the grass a little bit coming down the hill. And again, I appreciate you hanging out with me here on a Tuesday evening. Dustin Moore, Forza Spec Racing Series here on Xventure Live. or if you're watching the video on demand, greatly appreciate you tuning in. And if you're enjoying the content, please click that follow button. You'll get a nice little alert. It'll show up here at the bottom of the screen. We'll give you a quick shout out. We're not going to embarrass you about it. And for those who have gone above and beyond to support the channel with a subscription, greatly appreciate that. All right, so things starting to thin out here in the top 10. Let's go back up to AMS Huracan in second. And I don't know if we're going to see last lap heroics here. I mean, we're not even halfway through this race yet, but AMS Huracan has found quite a comfortable home here on the back bumper of LS Subaru. Maybe just waiting for that mistake. Just waiting for Subaru to make the mistake, as opposed to Huracan going out in front and then having to deal with Subaru on his back bumper. You might think that the advantage here is to be in second and see if you can get your opponent to foul up a little bit, and then that way you've got an easy pass, and then you don't have to worry about being harassed by the second place opponent. That might be the game plan. AMS Huracan swinging out a little bit wide there on the entry to the hairpin, just trying to see if maybe he can't get a run on LS Subaru on the exit. But with Subaru's 695 properly placed on the inside line at the exit of the hairpin, preventing Huracan from getting by. AMS Huracan with the Match.com livery, I'm just now noticing it. Very, very good. Well done. The humor. Not only are the drivers fantastic at what they do here in FM4, but they've got a sense of humor behind them that makes it that much more enjoyable to watch on. Oh no, we've got the loading screen. Oh gosh. Makes me nervous every time. Well, we still have our top two. We're about to see who we might have lost here. Cratrum in third, SFM Darkster in fourth, LS Barney, unfortunately. LS Barney, who is running in eighth, I believe. Disconnected. That's very unfortunate. I mean, I suppose if you're going to have any disconnect at any point in the season, get it over with in week number one. Of course, that can never be a sure thing, though. And disconnects here in the virtual world of racing, we can only chalk up to something like a blown engine. And therefore, his racing is done at least for this first one of the night. Perhaps we'll see LS Barney out there on the track for race number two. Let's jump back to Patches Riley now in 10th position behind Muertismo as they cross the line for the beginning of their lap number 12. Say, do you know anybody who's a big Forza fan? And you think they might enjoy the racing action here, either participating in it or watching it? Send them on over. Tell them you sent you. Tell them to tell me that you sent them, and that way I can give you a shout out. But it's always nice to have some folks join us here for the broadcast, whether they are new or returning. And if you want to say hi there, maybe you have somebody you're rooting on in the race and we can go check on them real quick. Or perhaps you have a prediction of how things are going to go here in week number one, or maybe the champion here of season 45. You can throw that in the chat. Always enjoyable when we get a nice little conversation. Oh, there goes Beer cutting across about 3 lanes of traffic if this were a regulation roadway. And Subaru and Huracan, perhaps it was just the camera view. Maybe it wasn't as close as it looked there. It might have just been the camera view that made it seem more ominous than it really was. But either way, Subaru and Huracan unhurt. And these two guys, I mean, a lot of experience between the two, Subaru and Huracan. Like, that kind of stuff is not going to faze them. That's not going to faze them at all. They react accordingly, but they also kind of have the foresight to understand, like, what some of these drivers might be thinking, what they're going to do as they start to approach. And so they kind of just make that assumption and they stick to it. And if there is any deviation from that, then they'll react accordingly. But it seemed like there in that moment, as Beer cut over across the roadway, that everybody was well aware of what was going down there. SFM Darkster is... Oh, gosh, yeah, he's all up on the walls there. Is there damage to that vehicle? I wonder. There is. I was curious. It looked like he missed pit lane entry or received that damage beyond the pit lane entry. That is to say, in the hairpin. And, of course, despite this being a beer league, like, you don't drive backwards to go into pit lane. And so Darkstar is going to do his best to bring the car all the way back around and take it into pit lane. But, yeah, that's going to be very difficult to control. Lots of aero damage. It seemed like there was some suspension damage. Matter of fact, getting one of the rear wheels up off the ground there, which is not unusual in these Fiat 500s, Abarth 695s. But when you've got damage to the car and you get three wheels on the ground and one up in the air, it makes it a little bit more difficult to control. Here comes Krejcim now, who is all by himself after Darkster's incident, which, again, I think happened in the hairpin. As I'll flip it over here to see if Darkster is, in fact, going to take it into pit lane or if he's going to try to just deal with it. No, he's going to go in and get into pit lane. That's going to drop him back to 7th for now, probably even as far back as 10th or 11th. And we'll try to make use of the repaired bodywork and mechanicals to claim a few positions back. You see the flag of Australia tied to LS Subaru's gamer tag above his car, and that's why I say good morning to some of you here at the beginning of the broadcast, because you just never know. LS Subaru living in the future, racing from Australia and currently out in front. Back into the hairpin here on lap number 15. LS Subaru just holding it down on the inside, although that swings him out a little bit wide. AMS Huracan able to get the front wheels in line with the rear wheels there of Subaru, and now he looks to the inside as they head up to turn number 1. Not going to push the issue right there. That's a very tricky corner to try to go too wide at, one that is not well advised. You don't really want to go too wide into that corner. It's a bad spot to make that push, and instead we'll resort to returning to the back bumper here of LS Subaru. And you see the scrapes, the bumps. LS Subaru has not been, well, I shouldn't say he hasn't been around any traffic apart from Amos Huracan in this race, because there have been some back markers, some lap traffic that he's dealt with, but that he's done without any contact at all for certain. The only damage that has been sustained to that vehicle, and it's all just superficial, is right there on the back bumper with Huracan. Just continuing to let them know I'm right here. I'm right behind you. Not that Subaru doesn't already know that. They've got Gumby Greg there in 14th position, out in front of them. Gumby Greg to the outside allows Subaru to have the low line. Huracan was the frosting on that Oreo cookie there heading into the hairpin. Woo! A little bit more than a love tap there coming through turn number 2 was Huracan. DWM Frog there in the chat says the last 2 laps should be very entertaining for 1 and 2. Yes, definitely. And Huracan getting the front wheel up off the ground. Yeah, not that it isn't entertaining already, but certainly as we come down to the final 2 laps and we know that a move's got to be made. If you're going to make a move, it's got to happen there. Now 2 wheels up off the air there for Huracan. We've seen all kinds of configuration of airtime here in the 695. Again, 275 foot-pounds of torque, 280 horsepower, 1,923 pounds of vehicle curb weight, and a B600 performance index here in Forza Motorsport 7. Back into the hairpin for the 17th time here this evening. Let's go ahead and run through the field. We've got Huracan here on the backside of LS Subaru for the lead. Kratrum in 3rd, Fear the Fun in 4th, Audrex is in 5th. Onion with Too Many Eyes has made his way up to 6th position. Well done. LS Unku in 7th. Mortismo returning to the Forza Spec Racing Series here in Season 45 in 8th position. Patches Riley is into the top 10, currently in 9th, followed by Kuda93, who is in 10th position of the top 10. Slow Motion Fire in 11th, battling for 10th. Modern Weapon in 12th. SFM Darkster, who we saw go into pit lane after sustaining damage about 3 laps ago there at the hairpin, is 13th. Gumby Greg in 14th. Old Man Baby Body in 15th. And Beer98G in 16th position. Unfortunately, we lost LS Barney, who was competing in the top 10 about, I don't know, 8 laps or so ago. Disconnect. Let's very quickly here, let's go to Slow Motion Fire in 11th. That battle for the top 10 with Kuda. Kuda, oh, I was talking about Oreos in there. Kuda93 has got an Oreo livery. How about that? And we saw briefly there Darkser. Actually, that was Patches Riley up there in 9th. So let's see if between the two of these drivers, Kuda and Slow Motion Fire, if they're able to kind of work together a little bit here and not against each other. Get into that battle, super contested battle mode. You actually can lose pace, but if you say, oh, well, let's try to team up together here to move up and catch up with 9th, that works better for the two. And then they can battle it out for position. All right, let's go back up to Huracan. Lap 19 of 22. Another knock. Who's there? MS Huracan. LS Subaru, again, our 3-time back-to-back-to-back champion. Season 42, 43, 44. LS Subaru picking the vehicle here for Season 45, the 695 of Abarth. And AMS Huracan trying to say, you know what, you've dominated the FM4 series long enough. I'm coming back. Not that AMS Huracan hasn't had his fair share of championships here in FM4. But nobody has gone back to back to back to back. And so perhaps that's what AMS Huracan is trying to hold off now. It says, no, if it ain't going to be me, it ain't going to be you. You're watching the first race here of week number 1, season 45 of the Forza Spec Racing Series. We've got another one for you here tonight. It'll be out at Sebring. We'll have the 3 laps of qualifying. And then we'll get out there for the race itself, which does have a slight chance of rain. It is not guaranteed, but a slight chance of rain down there in Florida. And we'll see how drivers do. We're going from the twisty-turny track of Sonoma on the California countryside to the flattened level. I mean, there doesn't even seem to be an inch of elevation change there at Sebring, unless you count the concrete bumps there. Oh my gosh, Born as Ghost subscribing with Twitch Prime. Thank you, Born as Ghost. Thank you for your support. Your 16 months of support. Unfortunately, Born as Ghost not out on the track here tonight. Instead, watching from the pit lane or the Twitch chat, as we call it here. And lap 21, next time by the flag stand, they will get the white flag because we are only racing through lap 22. So as much as we have other close battles out here on the track, this is really the one to watch to kick us off here in Season 45. It's the LS, the Lightspeed Esports driver Subaru with his team colors versus the Match.com livery of AMS Huracan. In second, they're coming up onto Beer here for the second or third time now, putting a couple laps down on Beer, which is okay. Beer doing his thing out here on the track, racing his own race and being mindful when the leaders come up from behind and getting out of the way. So doing exactly what the Forza Spec Racing Series League looks to have its drivers do. Just kind of get out of the way. You don't have to run yourself off the track, but just make sure you're not hugging the driving line, the racing line when leaders come through. And now here we go, the final lap in what has been a non-stop bumper to bumper, and that is no cliche. It has been about as close as any race we've seen. I mean, we've seen some good races. SFM Darkster and the Witchy Lady from Season 44 is one that comes to mind. But right now, right here, this is a good indication of what battle we might have for the next 8 races after this one. Here comes AMS Huracan, gets up onto the passenger door side panel there of LS Subaru, makes contact, and just like that, Huracan here on the final lap with less than half the track remaining, moves up to first. Let's see what happens as they get through the final portion of the S's and make that push toward the hairpin. AMS Huracan perhaps pushing it a little bit too far off into the grass and up along the billboard portion of... Oh, and gosh, AMS Huracan is way off the pace, pushes LS Subaru out wide, and now side by side, it might be a photo finish. LS Subaru gets a nose out there. It's going to be Subaru picking up the win, able to reclaim it from AMS Huracan in the very last few 500 or so feet. And that is probably, that is the closest finish that we've ever seen in the Forza Spec Racing Series for as long as I've been commentating. It doesn't get any closer than that. Unfortunately, we didn't have a camera view to see it right down the line, but I assure you, LS Subaru edging out Huracan in that one with just seconds to spare. Like, he had to reclaim that one quick. AMS Huracan went into that final corner, not the final corner, the hairpin, just before the dog leg, went in maybe a little bit late on the brakes, went about midway, basically the middle line of the hairpin, not the low line, not the outside line. That did in fact push LS Subaru a little bit out wide. However, Subaru, just because his vehicle wasn't maybe... I don't know. It looked like maybe Huracan's vehicle was just a little upset by the late braking there. LS Subaru was able to turn that momentum into enough power to get around and hold off Huracan for the victory. And wow. Setsuna says the marshals will take a look at this in the last lap. I think I'm pretty sure the way we see that finish there, that's the official finish. I don't know that there's anything really to contest there. I think it goes to Subaru. I think so. AMS Huracan, tentatively, unofficially, in second. Cratrium, Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun. Very, very well done by Fear. I mean, we've seen Fear the Fun have some great qualifying to start out seasons, and then unfortunately the race just doesn't pan out as well. But this is one where Fear the Fun takes it all the way to the checker. Onion in 6th position, followed by Unku. Muertismo in 8th. Patches, Kuda. I'm just taking notes here. Slow motion fire and Darkser. Darkser able to make it up to 12th position after that pit stop about halfway through the race. Modern Weapon in 13th. Gumby Greg. Old Man in 15th. And that leaves Beer for 16th. And then, again, unfortunately for LS Barney, who was in the top 10, unable to finish that race. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and take a quick little intermission here. You will not miss any action. I promise you. I promise you. I'm not lying to you. If you're a subscriber, you get to enjoy some music here that I'll bump for you during the intermission session. If you do see ads, please just hang tight. It supports the broadcast, and it allows our viewers who join us a little bit later on in the broadcast to avoid those pre-roll ads. I like to try to get everybody into the stream action as quickly as possible, and if that means that we can head off the pre-roll ads for them, then gosh darn it, we're going to do that. You're watching the Forza Spec Racing Series here live on Twitch TV. I'm Dustin Moore. We'll be right back for week number 1, race number 2, heading out to Sebring. And welcome back, Xventure Live on Twitch TV. I'm Dustin Moore. We're getting ready for race number 2, or the qualifying session for race number 2 out at Sebring here, following what was a very exciting conclusion to the race. Race number 1 out at Sonoma. LS Subaru now joins me in the driver's spotlight. LS Subaru, you were able to edge out MS Huracan there in the last few hundred feet of the race, coming out of the hairpin. The hairpin looks to be where you were able to make that pass. What did you see? What happened? And how were you able to get around Huracan at that point?
Yeah, well, I I ended up going a bit too wide at the end of the corner after the right-hander, where you've got like a ton of runoff space.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to slip past, but he ended up going all four off the track into the grass, coming into that hairpin, and I tried for an overtake around the outside. I was able to carry a little bit more speed coming out, so I had a bit more momentum, and I also had the inside line coming into that final left-hander going onto the start-finish straight, and it literally ended up being neck and neck across the line, and
Mm-hmm.
neither of us had knew who won at the end, but it seemed like I had won by a very small amount.
Yeah, and it was one of the downsides of the format here in FM4 is they have a cooldown lap, and so the game isn't able to adjudicate who actually came to the line last. However, we kind of I'm guessing the organizers just kind of evaluate everything based on what we saw here on the broadcast and what they saw out there on the circuit as the game was or the race was wrapping up. I think I know the answer to this, Subaru. But you said there on that right-hander coming down the first half of the track, you went out wide, and that's where Huracan was able to get around you. Did you think at any point there that, hey, okay, now I'm just holding on to second, or did you legitimately think that, hey, I fully suspect that maybe Huracan will make a mistake here on this last half of the track, and I'll get that spot back?
Yeah, the race isn't over until it's over. Once I'd lost that spot, I knew that it was a very concerning point that I was, essentially leading for 99% of the race, and then to go wide and lose the position on the last lap. It's definitely a very intense moment, but there's always a chance that the driver I'm competing against can make a mistake also on that last lap, being, there's a lot of pressure with it being a last lap battle to
Mm-hmm.
the finish line. And lucky enough for me, he made a mistake and I was able to at least mostly capitalize on it.
That you did, and gosh, I mean, for somebody who's trying to go and be the first driver in the Forza Spec Racing Series history to go a four-time champion in a row, Amos Huracan's proven to make it a bit difficult for you.
Yeah. He's a very quick driver. I personally think he's actually quicker than me, but um yeah, it should be interesting to see how the rest of the season pans out.
And I know you're getting ready to get into qualifying out here at Sebring, so maybe just one word to describe the 695 so far this early on in the season.
Ah, interesting.
Interesting.
But
Well,
yeah,
certainly that matches the racing. LS Subaru, congrats on the first win here in season 45. Best of luck to you in qualifying out at Sebring.
thank you.
All right, there you go. LS Subaru, your champion not only for last season, but the two seasons prior to that, dating back to season 42, then 43, and 44, of course. Now trying to go back to back to back to back. Qualifying, getting ready here for Sebring. They've got the rain falling, by the way. So while there is only about a 40% chance in the race itself, the organizers have decided to go ahead and just let it start coming down already here in the qualifying session and see if that factors in the drivers' qualifying times. 17 on the grid. Once again, that means hopefully we've got LS Barney, who, despite the disconnect there in race number 1, is going to participate here in the second race of the evening and try to get himself prepared for week number 2, because ultimately this looks to be Barney's drop week based on how things are going thus far. Let's jump into the action here. And again, thanks everybody who's joined here on the broadcast. It's good to see the numbers up to where they're at the moment. I appreciate it. And I'll be here, unfortunately, not for next Tuesday. I will have to be out for that broadcast, but I will be back on March the 22nd for week number 3. Then the 29th for week number 4, and then April the 5th for the final week number 5 here. Lots of racing action to come, no doubt. Modern Weapons is going to be the first off the line out here at Sebring with a few. I was saying the rain is falling. It really is just kind of sprinkling. I don't know that it's really even having an effect on the track. I don't know that Forza Motorsport renders this a wet track with these kind of conditions. It might just be a drizzle for the sake of looking it, but not really acting it. Not really having an effect on the track. I don't know. We'll maybe check with our drivers here after qualifying. Here comes Modern Weapon now. On the backside of the track, you got the hotel there, the Sebring Raceway Hotel, and then through the S's here on the backside. And now starting to make the drive on the back part of the track, which again has seemingly no change of elevation. Really, the only part where your springs and your dampers are going to be put to work is, well, they definitely go to work through the corners. But in terms of the track changing level, it really only happens on the concrete section there at Sunset Boulevard, heading toward the start-finish line. Because you got all those bumps with the square concrete tiles, I guess I'll call them, which we'll see here in just a bit as they make the long back straightaway drive. Oh, and there goes Modern Weapon. He's going to go ahead and, yeah, he's going to say hello to those concrete tiles a little bit early here. Coming out of, I believe this is Le Mans is what they call it here on this final right-hander. And then out onto the long backstretch, which here in the B600 695s takes a fair amount of time. These vehicles about middle of the road in terms of the Forza Spec, the Forza Motorsport 7 Performance Index. And now here they go over those tiles, the bumpiness of the cars. You can kind of see it in the wheel as it retreats and then jolts back down quickly out of the wheel well as the surface is ever changing there with those cracks. Home of the 12 Hours of Sebring, which TORA, the Online Racing Association, just hosted this past weekend. Go ahead and throw the stats here in the bottom left. My apologies. It's LS Subaru with a 2:25.178, the quickest time at the moment. AMS Huracan currently with the second quickest time. There's Huracan's car. I'm sure we'll get plenty of camera time on that vehicle here. So let's put our focus on Drex, who actually isn't too far away. He's got that chonk livery. This is not a non-fiction livery here on Drex. The theme here in Season 45, real-world businesses, which, by the way, yes, I am wearing, if anybody has noticed, I am wearing a Taco Bell t-shirt. That is my contribution to the real-world business theme here of Season 45. We'll take a look at it here at intermission, but always fun to kind of see what the drivers have come up in their livery creations. Let's go to Cuda 93, who has the sixth quickest time at the moment, and the Oreo car, which just makes me hungry, really. Yo quiero Taco Bell, says DWM Frog in the chat. Yes, indeed. I want some Taco Bell. It's too bad they got rid of the Chihuahua, didn't they? The Chihuahua has long been gone. Now they just do the Taco Bell like gong bell sound, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty nifty little marketing scheme that the people, they hear the bell and it immediately has them heading to their nearest Taco Bell. I like it. Let's see here. Where should we put the camera? LS Unku now with the third quickest time. Unku finishing in seventh position out there at Sonoma, but right now finds himself in the top 5 qualifying. And it says, I'm too lazy to make a livery or something to that effect, to make a nice paint, I think is what it says on there. Fair enough. Fair enough. All you have to do is just go to the vinyls storefront and just pull some vinyls off of the storefront. You don't have to even create anything. You just throw a bunch of vinyls on there. It's always that's always a fun little game, is seeing what creations you can find in the Forza Motorsport 7 vinyl library. Sometimes fun, sometimes scary. LS Subaru with a 221.275. MS Huracan. Kraytrim now with the third quickest time. Darkster with the fourth. Unku has dropped back to fifth here after drivers were able to do their second qualifying time, their first flying lap. So let's see what this third and final lap of qualifying renders for everybody. And we'll go jump out of the lobby and take a look at the times. Whew, I am losing my voice a little bit. I've been able to hold it off thanks to some medication and some ample dosages of coffee. Doses of coffee, I guess I should say, not dosages. That's weird either way. A little under the weather, although I'm feeling good. I'm in good spirits. Plus, it's Tuesday in the Forza Spec Racing Series. How could I not be excited for tonight? Especially after that racing we saw the first one. This is going to be another good one, I have a feeling. Especially if Darkster can end up not having to go in. If he can not end up in pit lane, is what I should say. If Darkster can avoid pit lane, that might have a nice little 3, possibly 4-way battle if Kraytrim can get in the mix too. That would be spectacular. Not just the Huracan Subaru show, but Kraytrim, Darkster. All right, looks like the showers have stopped here during qualifying, which again, I don't think had any effect on the track whatsoever. And then we'll have a slight chance of precipitation in the race itself. And LS Subaru able to knock that down a half a second or so, down to 2:29.60. And as Kraytrim, who has the third quickest time, comes across the line, not going to be able to do any better than that. As a matter of fact, Kraytrim is going to drop back a spot. We'll still be on row number 2, but we'll be on the outside of row number 2 in P4. All right. Well, are you guys ready? Race number 2 here. Week number 1. It's already been a good one, and I encourage you, if you are watching this and you're like, man, this looks like a lot of fun. I assure you it is. And wouldn't it be cool if we're able to call out your name here on the circuit as you get around the track in your appearance with the Forza Spec Racing Series? Head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4. All the rules, everything you need to know, ways to get registered. It's all there. And you too can participate starting in week number 2, which if you do week number 2, 3, 4, and the finale in week 5, you'll still be in the running for the championship. You'll have to be darn good. You have to be on point, but you can make it happen. Even if you're not one of those drivers, though, who's going to be contending for the championship, I still encourage you, if you're thinking about it, just jump in and do it. Don't overthink it. All you have to do is race clean. That is really the only it's not a prerequisite. It is the only requirement during the races themselves is to race clean, and then you'll be able to come back week after week and just see yourself improve over time and try to make the most of it. And just have fun. Just have fun. It's like playing, adult softball, soccer, basketball in the rec center or whatever. Just go out there and have yourself a good old time. SDR Onion telling us in the chat, no clean lap. I see you have a clean lap. Oh, no clean flyer. So your clean lap was your standing start. Got it. LS Subaru with a 220.9. That'll be pole. Onion with too many eyes with the 228. That being the standing start, 228.6. Old Man Baby Potty with a 224.442. Amos Huracan with a 221.473. That should be good for row number 1, opposite of LS Subaru on pole. 227.7. That's a dirty lap there by Modern Weapon. That'll kick him to the back of the pack. That's okay. You run your race where you run your race. Don't worry about it. Audrex 223.3. Mortismo with a 224.041, a 221.7 there for SFM Darkster, just falling behind AMS Huracan there in that battle for second. So it'll be Darkser in third. Then you see Kratrium's time with a 222.156. That'll be row number 2, P4. Kuda 93 with a 224.086. Soul Motion Fire with a 225.2. Patches Riley with a 224.6. Fear the Fun with a 223.8. LS Unku 223.6. Gummy Greg also with a dirty lap with a 230.3. 229.777 there for Beer 98. And LS Barney, who unfortunately had that disconnect there in race number 1. A double unfortunate here. A dirty lap, a 233.7. That'll be somewhere toward the back of the field. All right, let's quickly, before we get ready for the race here, let's go into the driver's spotlight. We've got SFM Darksu, who was contending for the one of the top 5 positions before something went wrong there. It looked like he had an incident, maybe going into the hairpin out there at Sonoma.
So I did possibly the dumbest thing possible, Dustin. You know that last left-hander where the wall sticks out just a little bit further than you think it does?
Mm-hmm.
I smacked it and destroyed the front of the car. 100% damage on both brakes and springs, so I had to pit.
So we actually saw that in real time. I thought maybe you had sustained some damage earlier, which led you into that wall. But yeah, I can attest to that. You like to cut that corner quick because you hope it gives you enough runoff area to keep the pedal to the metal as you go across the line, but you clip it too close and man, it is punishing. Did you think at all about just trying to keep that car on the track for the entirety of the race, or were you pretty committed to the pit stop?
Considering it was impossible to drive in a straight line, I think I had to pit. I had no brakes, I had no front springs, so it was just bouncing all over the place and like basically rolling every time there was an elevation change. So I said, no, it needs to pit.
Able to get yourself back up to 12th position out of that pit stop. So not too bad, not too great, but at least a chance for you to kind of see how well you could do now out here at Sebring. We had the level change, but yet Sebring and Sonoma have some shared characteristics in terms of the cornering, lots of S's and all that. But what do you make of this track now that we peel away maybe the undulation, the ups and the downs?
I do think that this car will behave a bit more predictably here at Sebring.
Yeah.
Just because of the lack of that elevation change, but it is still bumpy, and this car does not like curbs. It's got a very high center of gravity, and as you know, Sebring has quite a lot of curbs. So I'm just going to run the same setup with a little bit less front aero and hope that I don't die. To be completely honest, qualifying was my first laps here.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also my favorite road car to race in all of Forza, going back like 3 or 4 years. So I'm really, really happy Subaru picked it.
Yeah, I think it was either you or somebody else had mentioned. Was it on social that you said that this was like one of your top cars for hot lapping?
Yes, the shoe returns.
Yeah, yes, it does. It does. I mean, you say you like this car. Is it the Fiat 500 that's actually the one that you've hot lapped the most, or is it this 695 that you have a lot more familiarity with?
Well, back on Forza 6, there was a Aurora series where the Fiat 500 was eligible, and that's when I built up a super high grip, low power car for that. And it was just a blast, because the reason we call it the shoe is because if the shoe fits, send it, because the car was so much smaller than everything else and could break so much later. So then in Forza 7, obviously there's no Fiat 500, but there's the 695, which is the exact same car, just a different trim level. Mm-hmm. So I was really excited, got to run it again, and then Delta ran it as a spec series, so I did a couple of that, and now FN4 is doing it, so I'm really getting some mileage out of this thing.
If I'm not mistaken, we're talking with SFM Darkster here in the driver's spotlight, getting ready for the second race of the evening. I think you're in row number 2 in P3 position. So is there a chance we could see a 3-way battle for first here? The viewers want it. They're crying, commanding for it. They want it.
I don't know if I have the pace to keep up with Subaru and Huracan, frankly. I mean, Huracan maybe, but I don't know. I don't think he got the optimal lap there just from his pace lap race. So we'll see. My goal is just to try to hang on to the top 3.
Hang on to the top 3, SFM Darkster, and he'll be driving the Tide car. That's the vehicle you ought to be looking for as we see him getting around the track. SFM Darkster, great chatting with you. Better luck here out at Sebring.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, SFM Darkster. Yes, indeed, in the Tide, I'm going to call it the Tide Pods car, although I don't think it has any reference to pods whatsoever. But yes, The Fiat 695, the Abarth 695 here, resembling a shoe. You've got the BMW Z4, which is often regarded as like the clown shoe because of the one model year that it had a weird shape to it. The Abarth certainly could fit as a shoe. So yeah, there we go. We're racing a shoe here in season 45. Going to spectate mode, says Slow Motion Fire. I must have clicked it and then something must have changed, but there we go. We're ready to go. Oh yeah, and by the way, like I said, there's the Taco Bell. I told you, the Taco Bell shirt, because you know what? It is real world businesses, and gosh darn it, if I could get free tacos from Taco Bell by wearing a taco shirt, I would dig that. That would be cool. I would eat the taco on the stream wearing the taco shirt. Nah, I'm not gonna sell out like that. Not that it matters anyway. I mean, a little tiny stream here in the corner of Twitch that is X Adventure in our virtual motorsports, our esports here in video gaming. I know there's a lot of other content that the people are watching. They've got their eyeballs on, but you know what? I enjoy our little community here, and so for those again who haven't yet clicked that follow button and you're enjoying your time here, please feel free to do so. It'll give you a nice little shout out here at the bottom of the screen, and all that support, even at the follower level, is very helpful. Helps the channel grow that much more. And for those like Born as Ghost, who came through with the subscription a little bit ago, that support benefits the channel and production. In the means of production, I'm able to pay the music creators licenses to play their cool music here on the stream. And here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. Race number 2 of week number 1 is underway. Will we have ourselves another barn burner after that one out at Sonoma between AMS Huracan and LS Subaru? LS Subaru getting the best of them on that one. Let's go up to our race leader, LS Subaru. Leading them out of turn number 1 now through 2. Oh, we've got a car that's not only off the track but into the wall and turned all around. Who is that going to be? Let's go back there, and that's going to be some significant damage. I think it's Old Man Baby Body. His name, not mine. Well, I don't see any damage. If he was able to come out of that one without any damage, I'm very, very shocked by that. But let's go ahead and move back up. Let's go to 3rd with SFM Darkser. And I said you guys were crying for it. The word I was actually looking for is clamoring. I don't think you guys are crying at all, but I'm sure you would be clamoring for some good close racing that extends beyond just the 2 drivers out in front, but rather throw in a third party. And so here comes SFM Darkser, who, by the way, I'll just go ahead and rat him out here on the channel, has a Super 8 Motel number board. This is not within Forza Spec Racing Series regulations. That would be an illegal number board. Somebody hit Darkser up with a penalty. And already, Subaru and Huracan starting to take off. You see Cratrim back there in 4th position. Come on, Cratrim. Keep pace. Keep up. As they come out of, again, I think it's Le Mans. I think they've honored that corner with the name Le Mans in tribute to, of course, the Circuit de la Sarthe Raceway there in France, home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which, by the way, I cannot wait. I have not looked it up, but I hope the Motor Trend Plus, or whatever the heck they call it, their subscriber service, I hope they're carrying the race again. Not because I hope it to only exist on a subscription service, but because I have that subscription service from last year's event. And I don't know if they're the ones hosting or providing coverage of the 24-hour Le Mans race this year. I don't know. I'll look that up. All right, here they come. And this is going to be 3 and 4 here. Out at Sebring, LS Subaru, Huracan, SFM Darkser is keeping pace. I asked him the question. I said, can you keep up and make it a 3-way battle? He said, I don't know if I've got the pace to keep up. So far, so good there in the Match.com car. As we get the close-up view, well, actually, it's not Darksur's Match.com car. That's Huracan's Match.com car. Darkser driving the Tide car. And maybe cutting through the grass a little bit there, coming out of the S on the backside of the track. And wouldn't you know, AMS Huracan is going to harass LS Subaru as they come up to Tower. Or actually, pardon me, I'm a little early on that call. Tower a couple of corners ahead yet. Tower, I do believe, named after the fact that there would have been a air traffic controller tower there when this was an Army Air Force field way back, converted into what is now known today as Sebring International Raceway. Yeah, we got a nice set of 4 cars here, and if LS Subaru playing defense here on Huracan keeps their pace down a little bit, that's going to bode well for Darkser and Croatium, although it looks like now, hitting the back straightaway, that Subaru and Huracan are starting to peel away a little bit. Let's go ahead to our, let's go to the top 10, and actually let's go to 10th here with LS Barney, the Little Tikes car. My favorite livery out on the track. That one gets a nice golf clap there for applying that livery. I like it. LS Barney in the top 10 here, and hopefully the connection can withstand all 13 laps here out at Sebring after getting that disconnect at Sonoma. We do have a driver in the pit lane. That is going to be Gumby Greg. Gumby Greg is in. Well, maybe not. No. The timing was a little off. It's Onion with too many eyes in the pit lane. Let's go to 7th with Kuda 93. If I can get it to work. Oh my gosh. Clicking buttons is hard. No rain to be seen yet. A little bit of low-lying fog, it looks like. That is part of the forecast here. A low fog, but not anything that I think disrupts the driver's view. I mean, it's pretty sporadic and very opaque too. Not dense fog. Just enough to notice it. Nice little grouping here from 5th on back to, I think, 13th. Fear the Fun is leading this train. And actually, it's 12th with Slow Motion Fire. Let's go to 6th here with Audrex, who is behind Slow Motion Fire. Or, excuse me, behind Fear the Fun. As the 695 drops down a little bit. However, back in the virtual Autosport days when I used to host events, we had a race out here in which they ran the Radical RXC, I believe is what it is. Oh my gosh. That thing, as soon as you apply the brakes, it just hunkers down onto the track. Hugs the circuit like it's never seen it before or something. Like it's like welcoming it back from a long time away. It just drops down. Here the 695 comes down a little bit. Not so much give on the suspension here. The 695, as we talked with SF and Darkster, a different trim, a track-going version of the Fiat 500. And he reminded me that the Fiat 500 is not in Forza Motorsport 7, which is a surprise to me. I didn't remember that at all, and my apologies as we lose a few frames here. Hopefully we'll get them back quickly. There we go. Frames are back. And you saw there on the front bumper and on the rear bumper of SFM Darkser's Tide 695, the racetora.com. website, which, like I said, they just finished the 12 hours of Sebring out here over this past weekend. So this is a familiar grounds here for SFM Darkster. And very familiar territory for anybody who's played Forza Motorsport for any, decent amount of time. Like, I think this is one of the OG tracks of Forza Motorsport is Sebring. I called the last corner here Sunset Boulevard. That is the Long Beach track, I think. Rather, the final corner here is Sunset Bend. I believe it picks that name up because during those 12-hour races, the sun sets right here as you go down this backstretch and hit that final long sweeping right-hander over the bumpy concrete blocks, the bumpy concrete squares. The sun just drops right there, and oh my gosh. That's a corner you don't want to goof up when you've got the sun in your face, because, man, you'll find yourself parked into a tire wall real fast. And across the line here for the beginning of lap number 5, Darkster in 3rd, Kratrium in 4th. Our leader is LS Subaru still, holding off AMS Huracan. AMS Huracan coming just this close to winning that race out at Sonoma on the final lap, but then gave it away on the final couple of corners. The hairpin and then the dog leg left. Across the line, AMS Huracan trying to, I'm not saying it's his sole mission. Obviously, AMS Huracan's out there to just try to win for the sake of winning. Taking one race at a time, try to claim as many of those races as possible, but in so doing, is trying to become a driver, or could be a driver, that puts an end to LS Subaru's up to this point, 3-season championship run. LS Subaru trying to make it 4 in a row would be a record. Wouldn't be the most championships held by any one driver, however. That belongs to T-Tom, or now known as Kratrium. Let's go back to Unku in 7th position. One of the 3 LS drivers. Looks like going on the low line there with Cuda 93. Too lazy to make an ice paint. Shame. Shame. LS Unku also with the Blame Barney slogan on the back. Wow. Okay. Blaming his teammate, his fellow Lightspeed Esports team member. And once again, if you don't know, now you know. I'm Dustin Moore, commentating here for the Forza Spec Racing Series. Unfortunately, not going to be able to provide all 5 weeks worth of coverage. I will miss next Sunday. So just a heads up, a programming note. I will not be live next Tuesday. I don't know why I said Wednesday or Sunday or whatever the heck I just said. I will not be live next Tuesday for week number 2. Rather, I'll be back on March 22nd to pick up where everything is, where they left off there for week number 3. Where they leave things off for week number 3, in which we'll be heading out to Mugello and Monza. A couple of Italian tracks there. Week number 3, and the Mugello being a full circuit. That'll be exciting. I really like the full circuit of Mugello, and there goes Audrex off the track. He comes back on right in front of LS Barney. Able to make a recovery. But that had LS Barney on the brakes a little bit there. And so we've got Cuda 93 in 7th, Audrex in 8th. That's Unku there in 6th, who I forgot to mention. LS Barney in 9th, and Mortismo in 10th. A nice little grouping of cars here, 6th through 10th. So not our battle for the lead is not the only good battle out on the track. And we even have a battle there for third between Darkster and Kratrium. Actually, let's go to that one right now. Let's go to Darkster in fourth, or excuse me, Kratrium in fourth. Darkster qualified in third, opposite of Kratrium at P4. And now we see the windscreen wipers start to turn on here on the 695. Amazing they even have those. And a few sprinkles, which again, I don't think it actually has any effect on the racing surface here in Forza Motorsport 7. I think that's just going to be purely an aesthetic of the race here to have a few showers, but not really dampening the track up at all. Does have me curious as to whether or not that forced the drivers into rain tires, however, and if that is the case, maybe seeing a little bit of a lack of grip, although it's probably hard to argue because with such a short race, only 13 laps, that 14th one that you see in the upper left, that's just a cool-down lap. Being only 13 laps, I don't know that they'll be able to deplete the wear on the tires. Yeah, I don't even think they are the rain tires. I don't know. They could be. 10% tire wear up in the front on the front-wheel drive 695. 280 horsepower, 275 foot-pounds of torque, 1,923 pounds vehicle curb weight. That's B600. Again, about middle of the road in the Forza Motorsport 7 spectrum of performance. Let's go up to not our race leader. Let's rather go to AMS Huracan here in second, behind the race leader and our three-time in-a-row champion, LS Subaru. Bumper to bumper, just as they were out at Sonoma. The name of the game is unchanged here. And really the question is, will we see a different result? Where LS Subaru was able to get the victory after almost giving it away. Subaru telling us that on that right-hander on the first half of the track there at Sonoma, came down the hill a little bit too quick, missed his braking point, ran wide. That's where Huracan got around, but then Huracan going into the hairpin was a little late on his braking, and Subaru was able to use his momentum around the hairpin to get by, leading up to the start-finish line. Over the bumps, you see the front end there of the 695 jostling around side by side down the front stretch. They come underneath the Michelin Bridge. It's LS Subaru on the inside, AMS Huracan on the outside. As they come up to turn number one, it's the Chevrolet Bridge. LS Subaru goes ahead and moves out in front. Huracan seems to drop back a little bit, make some contact for the umpteenth time here today. That's not unusual. We've seen that all throughout the day. Huracan just going ahead and settle for second right now. DWM Braga in the chat says, wow, yeah, I thought Huracan was going to make a run for it. Like he wasn't going to just drop back, but he decided something about that wasn't having him too confident, or he didn't feel so good about it and decided that, yeah, I'll just go ahead and keep where I'm at for the moment. But maybe that's where AMS Huracan seeing something about Subaru's line and perhaps earmarking that as the place where he's going to make a move at some point. Welcoming those viewers who are joining us here late into the action on a Tuesday evening. Can we get one follow here tonight? Can we get one new follow? There's got to be somebody who's watching that hasn't quite committed to that button, but possibly can go ahead and push it and trigger the air wrench, and we'll give a shout out to one person. Is there? Either way, appreciate you hanging out here, and yes, in its however many years of being around Forza Motorsport 7, we are in the thick of it here. Season 45, just awaiting the next Forza Motorsport title, whenever that may be. But the fine folks here, guys and gals of the Forza Spec Racing Series, keeping things alive and very, very competitive. Tuesdays, and okay. Well, I'm not entirely sure. Both Subaru and Darkser, 3 of our top drivers, have pulled into pit lane. Mortismo also into pit lane. It's because, all right, folks, a late development here. 35% fuel in the tank. Are the drivers realizing that a pit stop is necessary? This is new. This is not something that we usually see in the first 4 weeks of a Forza Spec Racing Series season. It's not until the 5th and final week where we have a lengthier race that pit stops are usually required. However, in this case, with 35% left in the fuel tank, drivers might be making the calculation that that's just not enough to carry them all the way to the final lap. Wow. Well, drive-through penalty? No. It definitely wouldn't be one of those. The Forza Spec Racing Series doesn't have that level of, at least never that I've seen. Forza Spec Racing Series has never had that level of oversight. If you do something wrong, you pull off the accelerator. If you cut the course, if you bump into somebody, you usually just decelerate to what you think is a respectable amount of time to penalize yourself, but never a drive-through penalty. This, I am most certain, is related to the fuel situation. LS Subaru, now, as you can see, 93% in the tank after that pit stop, with 3.5 laps remaining, or 3.25 now for Subaru. It's AMS Huracan now who is into pit lane. AMS Huracan into pit lane. This is going to allow Subaru to catch up here on the front straightaway. And what's going to happen is they head into turn number 1. DW Brock there in the chat says, "Go Fear." I'll have to verify when Fear, if he has indeed already gone into pit lane, and if that means he's in a good position to be running up front. Fear the Fun in third. Let's actually take a look at it right now. Fear the Fun down to 26% left in the fuel tank. Is Fear the Fun going to go the distance? Or, wow. I would assume that if our top drivers are making that decision to go into pit lane, that everybody else should follow suit. I don't think that's a miscalculation by our top drivers. I think that's them just basically giving the alert that, hey, you're not going to make it to the end of lap 13. And so now, just as they were 2 laps ago, AMS Huracan and Subaru are side by side. So with Subaru going into pit lane, that did not spread things out in this battle for first. That means that Huracan kept a pretty good pace for them basically to be right exactly where they were before those pit stops took place. That's amazing. That's just a testament to the level of consistency between these drivers, that they could take pit stops on different laps and yet still come back out and be basically in the same dang position they were a few laps back. In this case, AMS Huracan is leading, but just as they hit this left-hander. Be careful there as Huracan maybe getting a couple of the wheels we couldn't see there as the camera was riding very close, or if not on board with with LS Subaru. And now side by side, here they come out onto the back straightaway. They're going to stay side by side. Up onto the curb goes Huracan. And it's the Match.com car versus the Lightspeed Esports car of LS Subaru. Down the back stretch, up towards Sunset Bend. AMS Huracan is going to be our race leader here as they approach the flag stand for the beginning of lap 11. 3 laps to go. Careful, careful. In addition to the full tank of fuel, they also got a fresh set of tires. However, I don't think the tires were really a concern. We saw about 10 to 15% tire wear up front, but in Forza Motorsport 7, that is negligible, if not completely unrecognizable in terms of tire degradation. And so here we go. Lap 11. Running through the field. LS Barney in 3rd. Fear the Fun is in 4th. Audrex is in 5th. Darkser in 6th. Unku in 7th. Kratrum is in 8th. Slow Motion Fire in 9th. Kuda in 10th. That's your top 10. Yes, the camera has been fixated on these two for a large chunk of the day, but there's good reason why. And so unless something changes dramatically here, we may be hanging tight here for the next 2.5 laps. A little bit of contact there. Subaru now exchanging, I say blows, but really just a bump there to the back bumper of AMS Huracan's vehicle. White Light 48 there in the chat says the fact that Subaru and Huracan can make a pit stop and still be this far in front shows how they're in their own league. They really are, and this is a fantastic testament to the fact that the Forza Spec Racing Series has this wide range of talent, from professional esports racers like we see right here. Huracan and Subaru are definitely in that conversation. They're in that grouping. To folks who are just coming out here and making this a thing that they do on Tuesdays as a hobby, as a fun thing, you've got this breadth of skill out on the track. So, again, if you're interested in partaking here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, I promise you will find somebody who is a like-minded, like-skilled racer on the track, and just make it your mission to be as competitive with them as possible. If that means that you're not competing for a championship from season to season, so be it. Find somebody that you match up nicely with and see if you can get the best of them from week to week. And just like that, LS Subaru making a move around Huracan. And by the way, that's reddit.com/r/FM4 where you can find information. Nightbot has provided that link for you. Go there after tonight, get yourself registered, participate in week number 2. All the way through week number 5, you're going to have fun. I promise you. If you're not having fun, you're not doing something right, and just ask somebody and they'll help course correct you. I promise. AMS Huracan now is back in the 2 spot. With a lap and a half remaining. As they come up the tower, let's go back. And it was here that LS Subaru was able to solidify P1 positioning after making the move around Huracan. The X-Venture replay. Ain't no thing. We got all kinds of cool features here on the channel. What's the update on the guys like Barney who haven't pitted yet? Good question. Good question. Let's check with Feel the Fun. That's one I'm curious about. Where he's running right now, 5% fuel with a lap and a quarter remaining. He might be safe. He might actually be safe. You take a look at Darkser, who's got 68% in the fuel tank. Barney in 5th with no fuel. Barney is running on fumes. Inevitably will be pulling into pit lane here. This time by at 695, going to be coughing its way to its pit stall. Yeah, no way they can make it. Fear the Fun is the only one where it's questionable because, well, I mean, not even that, because by the time he came around, he'd be very low. Yeah, he's into pit lane. So Fear the Fun, Audrex, Unku, Slow Motion Fire, Ellis, Barney have all pitted. Kratrium in 4th has 56. So Kratrium is good. Darkser in 3rd. That's going to be a nice battle there between Darkser and Kratrium for 3rd. Let's go back up to our leader here, or at least our two, the battle for the lead. LS Subaru in 1st, AMS Huracan on this 13th and final lap. Yes, this is indeed the final lap. Don't pay no mind to the upper left there. 13 laps is all we're doing. A few sprinkles. Again, I don't think that's having any impact on the surface at all. And so as we wind things down here, it should be just as good a race as it was when we started 13 laps ago. No change to the dynamic of the cars or the circuit. And now through Tower, the final time here. LS Subaru trying to go 2 in a row here. Season 45. That would be a great start on that trek toward a back-to-back-to-back-to-back championship run, 4 in a row here, if he could do it in Season 45. Huracan's going to make that very difficult. Out onto the back straight. They're going to go into single file formation. Perhaps AMS Huracan looking for a bit of a draft. Bumping off the back bumper of Subaru. They're going to go side by side. Coming up to Sunset Bend. And now Subaru goes ahead and moves. Well, he didn't move out front. Huracan dropped back. Huracan going to look to the inside. Some sparks there. They're side by side. Here we go. Another photo finish out at Sebring. We're going to get a nice overhead view as they come up to the line. Oh, it's Subaru! For the second race in a row, wins it by a nose in the Lightspeed Esports car. AMS Huracan just falling short once again. Wow. Woo. Darkser is going to finish 3rd. That means Kratrium picks up 4th. So well done by Darkser, able to move up a spot. We didn't get to see that, unfortunately. Here the Fun is just crosses the line for 5th right now. Not only was the first race the closest finish that we've had when broadcasting the Forza Spec Racing Series, but now we've had 2 of them in a row. Martismo finishing in 8th position. Kuda in 9th. Unku in 10th. It's Barney, Patches. Good thing my voice was able to hold on. I don't know that I'll be able to speak much after this, but it held on all the way to the end there. Borna's Ghost picking up 15th position. Crossing the line now, and then 16th will go to Gumby Greg, and then Old Man Baby Body for 17th. All 17 drivers finishing. Where's Beer, though? Did we not have... Oh, no, we did have 18 drivers. We actually did have 18 drivers in this one. Old Man and then Beer finishing in 18th. All right. Well, geez, that was fun. I don't know that we could have postured a more exciting kickoff to a season than what we just saw there. If this happens again for any other season, we could only be so lucky. But man, it is off to a great start. AMS Huracan says, could have been better had there been no lag. It's whatever, though, says Huracan. So Huracan finishing in second twice here tonight. Unfortunately, saying a little bit of lag here in this race. We'll have to see what happens with the with week number 2 and onward. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We'll come back. We'll chat to with some of our drivers here in the driver's spotlight. I'll preview what's ahead in week number 2. Unfortunately, as I've mentioned, I won't be able to broadcast week number 2. I will be back on March 22nd for week number 3, and then week number 4 on the 29th, and week number 5, the final week there on April the 5th. But yeah, let's recap what happened here in week number 1 when we return from a little bit of a intermission. I'm going to run ads for those of you who are not subscribers. If you could hang tight, watch those, supports the channel. And then for those of you who are subscribers, again, you'll get to hear some music. We'll be right back. You're watching X Venture, Dustin Moore, live on Twitch TV, Forza Spec Racing Series, week number 1, coming to an end. Welcome back to X Venture here live on Twitch TV. I just realized that the emote, for some reason, the emote wall, or like the video, or the thing that allows me to see, or you all to see the emotes bouncing around on the screen, was oddly configured, and I was able to expand that to make up the entire screen. Thanks to those who have partaken in the emote dance off there during the intermission part. Another cool little thing that we've introduced here as of last season during the Forza Spec Racing Series. Congratulations, all, by the way, for those of you who are watching. You got to lay eyes on some of the best community-based racing that you'll find in the Forza community. No doubt. What a great start to season 45 here in the 695 by Posto. It was an amazing one, an amazing performance, not only by our two drivers who were out in front for both races, LS Subaru and SFM Darkster, but everybody from there on back. Great racing by everybody, even though there were a few incidents that we saw, particularly out there at the very onset of the Sebring race. It seemed like in all cases the racing was quite not only competitive but also quite fair and well done. AMS Huracan says, "See, I come back and everything pops off." Yeah. Okay, we'll attribute it to you there, Huracan, if that makes you. That's what you're looking for. Let's go ahead and bring into the driver's spotlight now. One of my favorite parts of the broadcast, get to talk to the drivers here at the conclusion of the week's worth of racing. Onion with too many eyes, finishing my notes correct 6 times, or not 6 times, in 6, 2 times in a row.
That's correct.
Well done. You got to be happy with that, yeah?
I'm happy with that, yeah.
Which do you regard? I mean, even though you finished the same position in both races, which one do you regard as kind of like your better race?
Sebring for sure.
Okay. And so one thing that we were noticing, it kind of confused us a little bit, the viewers, was that we saw drivers starting to go into pit lane. Were you already, A, anticipating a pit stop, and then B, if you weren't, and you started seeing the leaders go in, were you like, oh crap, we need more fuel?
Yeah, we had already anticipated a pit stop in practice.
Okay.
We were practicing, and we were like, nobody's making it till 13 laps, unless you lift and coast quite a bit. So I pit on lap 2 or lap 3. I pit really early, so I was able to clean air and just drive my own race.
That is true. We did see, I think you went in a little bit early. Maybe there was another driver. That other driver might have gone in because of damage, but a strategic decision on your part to go in early and try to have clear air to race and do your own thing. What other races up ahead, if you can kind of start formulating where that strategy is going to have to come into play again, where do you see that happening? We've got like Watkins Glen and Spa next week, Mugello and Monza the following week.
I think all the circuits, maybe not Laguna Seca, but I think all the other circuits will be cutting it close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then now looking at the finale, I mean, sure, we're not looking to jump too far ahead of the season. We want to live in the here and now, but man, that finale, 39 laps out at the Mount Panorama Bathurst could be a field day in terms of pit stops. Talking with SDR Onion here in the chat. Was there a time? I mean, I know you said you went into pit lane early there at Sebring. Was there any time where you having a great battle? I mean, as much as I'd like to have gone back and see what was happening in the rest of the field up front was really exciting. Who were you duking it out with in either of the races or in both?
In race 1, I was close with Barney before he had his disconnect.
Yeah.
And then a bit from there, I just kind of drove around, just not really, just give and take tenths with Audrex and Unku behind. The second race, I spun on my own TM. Thank you, Barney. And pit really early, so I was on my own for most of the race. And then at the end, I was battling with Kuda and the whole gaggle of midfield cars. It was like all of the midfield cars from like 5th on downwards.
Yeah. To
probably 11th or 12th were just all at the same track space, really.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, so 1 week in the books. What do you take of what's your takeaway of the 695? Are there any adjustments in store for the next couple of weeks, or are you pretty happy with what you've got in the car?
I'm pretty happy with what Cratrium's done with the car. Stealing his tune. Really appreciate that he always posts his tune. It makes it so much nicer that I don't have to go and do all that work myself.
Yeah, great selling point for those who might be watching and thinking, well, gee, Dustin, I would love to race, but I just don't know anything about tuning my car. There are folks in the Forza Spec Racing Series who are happy to help out and share their inside baseball, their insights into car tuning to help get you where you need to be. Granted, your driving style might differ slightly, so that could have a different impact on how the car performs for you. But either way, it's a good starting point. Talking with SDR Onion here in the driver's spotlight. Can you keep this up? Do you have a chance to maybe move up one more spot? Fear was really well. He was on point here today. But of course, we've seen Fear the Fun be a little inconsistent from week to week. So a shot at top 5 here in season 45?
Maybe not. I don't know if I'll be able to make all the weeks.
Okay.
I might have to miss a couple.
Gotcha.
And that'll throw me for a loop. Even with the drop week, I might have to miss 2 weeks this season.
Got it. Well, another selling point. Even if you can't race all the weeks, to still get in here and race when you can with the FM4 crew. SDR Onion, any shout outs, anything you want to say here before we wind this one down tonight?
Just want to thank Slow and Modern and the guys for organizing this event. They always do such a great job. It's such a fun time. Tuesday evening. Nobody's doing anything on a Tuesday evening. Just come out, have fun.
That's right. There you go. We got another ambassador in SDR Onion. Appreciate you chatting with me, and I would say hope to see you next week, but I'll be out, so we'll see you when we see you.
For sure. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you. All right. That's SDR Onion with too many eyes, and now we go to... You're confusing me here. You've got SDR next to your name now, too, Barney.
No. Like it's still LS Barney. Someone changed it. Ignore that. No, those hooligans.
Are they trying to recruit you or mandatory placement onto a new team? Is that what's happening?
So there's a story that has happened this night. All right, tonight. So me and Patches made a bet that if he beat me in qualifying in either race, I would leave Lightspeed and go to SDR. Well, as you saw in Sebring, I made a mistake and didn't get a single clean lap. And that's when they did that. And then I made a double or nothing bet that if I beat Patches in the race, that I could stay at Lightspeed. So that's what was happening all night. Was me trying to beat Patches.
Fair enough. Just Uku in the chat here saying it would be really funny if I had punted Barney on the last lap just to make the bet come true.
It would not have been funny.
Because you would have you're saying you would have upheld the bet. The bet you're doubling down was you being legit.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a man of my word. I would have upheld my end of the bargain.
Well, you could wipe the sweat from your forehead because you're good to go there. Talking with LS Barney here, finishing 11th in the race out at Sebring. What is true about your name is you are the rain expert. However, we have no rain Suzuka this year or this season here in season 45. A little bit of rain out at Sebring, but that didn't seem to have any effect. Fuel, of course, a different story.
Yeah, I was disappointed in the lack of Suzuka in general, I think. But yeah, no. The fuel, that was an issue. I tried to push all the way to the final lap and without pitting. But as you saw, I ran out of fuel right as I entered the pits. So clearly the no pit strategy did not work.
Yeah, we actually flipped the camera over to you there on that lap. Gosh, it must have been lap 12. And we took a look at your fuel situation, and I knew. I said that you were heading into pit lane coughing. The engine probably just about to give up on you.
Yeah, I could feel the car just lose all power right before I entered it. I was like, oh no, this is where I'm going to lose positions.
How about you? Was this something that you had anticipated? Did the word come down from practice that this was something that was going to be necessary, or did it catch you off guard?
Throughout the entire race, I heard people saying, "Oh, we're going to need to pit. We're going to need to pit." But I was like, "No, I don't think so." Because at the end of lap 6, I was still at 50%. So I was like, "Oh, I mean, if this keeps up, I'll easily be able to finish without running out of fuel." And then lap 11 comes around, I'm at 0% fuel and I have to pit. So I mean, it caught me off guard, but at the same time, it really didn't.
So now, knowing what you know now and looking at the schedule ahead, there's some strategy that's involved. This might be the first time. No, this is in fact the first time since I've been broadcasting for FM4 that we've got what could be a series of races where pitch strategy is going to play a role multiple times throughout the season.
Well, based on fuel, I think it'd be the first time, but I think throughout the Scirocco season, we'd all have to do multiple pit stops to worry about tires and stuff.
Oh,
So, but somehow this car has no tire issues at all. This thing, the tires lasted the entire race without even going like yellow.
yeah, we did see some drivers with a little bit of yellow. Perhaps they were a little bit more aggressive in their driving style. 280 horsepower, 275 foot-pounds of torque with the front-wheel drive, 695 a bar. So, yeah, different styles might render different tire effects, but certainly it's the fuel that has the biggest impact. I'm already thinking ahead like Mugello. I think SDR Onion had mentioned, well, maybe he didn't mention Spa, but Spa is another one that comes to mind of like, okay, there's going to be some pitch strategy involved here.
Yeah, a lot of these top speed and engine based tracks, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of fuel wear that's gonna ruin strategies or maybe make strategies.
Do you like that aspect of? I know esports a little bit different than real world racing. Real world racing, that strategy might be more fun and exciting. Perhaps in esports, it's more irritating. Like, what's your take on it?
I think sometimes it could be interesting, but with a game like Forza,
Yeah.
there's not much to do with strategy. You just pit at some point in the race and you're fine. With games like the F1 games, you could pit early, get fresh tires, and undercut the driver who pit after you.
Mm-hmm.
But like again, with the games like Forza, it's just a bit irritating to have to waste time pitting.
Gotcha. Yeah, and of course it's all automated pitting, so everybody pits with basically the same amount of time wasted. So really not a lot of deviation from driver to driver on what that looks like. Your car, the AI takes control of it once you enter, and it has control all the way to the exit. So as long as everybody's running consistently, we see the same effect that we saw here in this race out at Sebring, where LS Subaru and SFM Darkshark basically came back together after their pit strategies played out on different laps. Again, talking with LS Barney here in the driver spotlight. What are your thoughts on the car? The 695. It's not the Fiat 500. It's more the track going version, bumped up to B600 performance index. You like it or no?
With the right tune, it can definitely be a fun car to drive, but when you don't have the correct tune, it's just a bit of an understeering mess.
Okay. Week number 2, week 3, 4, 5. You gonna place those bets again regarding your affiliation?
I think me and Ellis Unku, we've made a bet that whoever loses to the other person in the next round has to leave Lightspeed. I don't
What?
know. I don't know if we're gonna go ahead with that bet, but
Wow.
we'll see next week.
Okay. I like it. I like the competitive nature of FM4, but I like it even more when we've got team affiliations on the line. That makes things a little more exciting. Perhaps a bit more nerve-wracking for y'all, but I'll take the added artificial excitement in the race.
Yeah, I'm betting the SDR guys are gonna try to take me out and abduct me into their team.
Oh, very good, very good. Barney, any shout outs tonight?
Shout out to Patches and for making the bet fun, and shout out to Onion because, well, I'm sorry for the lap one incident at Sebring.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of off track weirdness there at Sebring. It happens from time to time. That's racing every once in a while. Barney, great chatting with you. I'll talk to you again when I see you. I won't be here next week, but hopefully I'll see you in week 3.
Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. All right. And back into the driver's spotlight for the second time here this evening. And also on the top spot, the podium spot for the second time this evening, coming out of Sebring, LS Subaru. You did it again. You were able to hold off MS Huracan by just a nose coming across the line.
Yeah, barely. Second time now that we've had to drag race it to the finish line. Yeah, it's just been really close racing with Huracan.
Very close racing, and in this case, which was a surprise to me because I wasn't aware of the fuel situation, we saw you duck into pit lane, and I just about lost my mind, and then I realized what was going on. what was your thought process behind that? Were you expecting Huracan to maybe follow you in the pit lane, or did you know he was going to stay out for one more lap and that you guys would reconnect, if you will, once he finished his pit stop? What was your strategy there? What were you aiming for?
I knew Huracan was going to stay out another lap. This track is actually more suited to overcut strategies than it is to either pit on the same lap or go for an undercut. So I kind of expected that once I pitted, Huracan would just pit the next lap and come out ahead of me, which is exactly what happened. So yeah, I kind of just stick to my own pit strategy. I kind of don't want to um, try and get like an over and under or undercut.
Yeah.
I just pick a lap and then just pit and then just see what happens. If I come out behind, I'll just have to I'll just have to try and get an overtake in before the end of the race.
Stick to your strategy, you say. We're talking with LS Subaru here in the driver's spotlight. Is that strategy to be like one of the first into pit lane? I mean, I know we saw some folks go in super early. That's just their approach. But could we expect this from you moving forward, where maybe you're the first one in and then Huracan will follow, or are you going to mix it up from race to race?
My pit strategy is very simple, very basic, and probably not very effective. I just take the amount of laps the race is, and I halve it, and then I pit, and that's
Okay.
it.
There you go. Well, a little bit of look at LS Subaru's cards as we go through the remainder of season 45. A lot of season 45 left to go. Looking ahead at the schedule, we saw. I mean, obviously, you and Darks are taking very well to the 695 Barth here. Is there one particular track that you're really looking forward to, whether it be next week or elsewhere?
Ooh, gee,
Well, we take a
not
look at week
sure.
number 2. We've got Spa and Watkins Glen. Are any of those tickle your fancy or no?
Those will be fun tracks. I think the one that I would be looking forward to the most would probably be week 3 with Mugello and Monza. I'm still considering on whether or not I will do the endurance race at Bathurst, because it's very tempting to do the endurance race, which is at my home race, which is my favorite track. So I might consider showing up to the endurance, though I'm not 100% sure yet.
Now, see, this is very interesting because you're already looking ahead to the endurance race, which you opted out of in season 44, and you may have been out of for season 43 and 42. I just wasn't broadcasting those seasons. But what if it comes down to week number 5 for points? Are you still going to wager whether or not you're there? Or if the championship's on the line, then we can most definitely expect you to be there.
Well, if it does come down to the week 5 at the endurance race, then I absolutely will show up.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of just depends on whether or not I've already won the championship in points. If I've already won in points, then well, I just don't show up. There's no point really. It's good to have like an extra week to kind of cool down. But if it does come down to having to do the last race to win, then I will show up.
Very confident LS Subaru already thinking, hey, I might not be here for week number 5. The championship points are working in my favor. Why? What's the point? I'll kick my feet up and relax. LS Subaru trying to go for 4 straight championships in a row. Already off to a great start here in week number 45, or in week number 1 of season 45. That isn't to say that it'll be an easy challenge, because AMS Huracan definitely nipping at the heels all throughout this week, and undoubtedly will for the remaining weeks. LS Subaru, great chatting with you. Any words that you have to say? Any parting words here tonight?
Yeah, it's just fun racing. It's nice that Huracan is able to really push me to my limits and bring out my best self, I suppose. Quick shout out to my team leader Bowtie. I only just noticed that he was watching the stream and watching Barney Anku and myself racing. So shout out to him, and that's pretty much it.
There you go. LS Subaru, best of luck to you in week number 2.
Thank you.
All right, and we've got another one here in the driver's spotlight. We'll go ahead and bring the ringleader, if you will, Slow Motion Fire, into the chat. Slow Motion Fire, let's see here. I take a look at the finishing placement for you: 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. It looks like they're at Sonoma, and then gosh, what is it?
10th at Sebring.
Why am I not seeing you at Sebring? I don't know why. My notes are a little messed up on Sebring, but 10th at Sebring. Very good. Are you happy with that? I mean, you guys had, again, a real strong contingent of cars there mid-pack, as always seems to be the case here in FM4. Or did you lose out on a few spots from some errors?
No, I had a pretty good race there both times. Race 1 with Patches and Kuda, and then race 2, I was running with Mertismo for a good portion of that. And then got past Barney and Unku right at the last corner. So,
okay, gonna chalk it up as a good start to season 45. Again, I can't think of. I mean, I know. I believe it was maybe Barney who said the VW Scirocco. Maybe there was some pitting related to that because of tire degradation. Here in season 45, it seems like fuel depletion is going to be a thing. Has there ever been a vehicle that the fuel situation has been as strong and perhaps impacting as it is here in season 45?
not like we're seeing with this car. We've had a couple fuel races on some of the oval circuits in the past, but that's been about it for kind of the half-hour fuel usage. So this is a new one. This will make it fun this season. I think about half the races are going to come down to fuel mileage strategy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely, because I'm already starting to think of some of those more long-winded tracks that there's just no way you're going to be able to do the full thing in one tank of fuel. Talking with So Much Fire here in the chat. The 695, you told me before the season, really fun car in the test and tune session last week. Really good showing of performance and competition here in week number 1. This could be a really exciting car, one to kind of look back on and be like, man, that car really produced. I mean, obviously it's the drivers, but the car obviously is a contributing factor.
Yeah, this car just allows for really close racing. It's grippy, and you can kind of battle each other, and you can do it with confidence. So that makes for some fun moves, and you see a lot of door to door, and it's a good one. The only thing we're seeing with this car is it's a little fragile, and the short wheelbase means if somebody kind of bumps you in the back in the wrong way, it sends you right around. So we got to be a little careful of that. But other than that, it's fun.
Yeah, which is just further a testament of the skill level that Subaru and SFM Darkster have, because there was a lot of bumpering happening there, if you want to call it that. A lot of bumps on the rear bumper, front bumper that did not result in an accident. So those guys really had the car under control. But even, like I said, big grouping at mid-pack. So the fact that everybody was able to hold their position pretty strong, that's really impressive. So hoping that you can keep that going here throughout season 45. We've got Spa, which will be one of those tracks that I think is going to necessitate a pit stop. Then you've got Watkins Glen. I'm really sad that I'm going to be missing these two tracks.
Yeah, and don't forget Spa is a night race, so that kind of throws another wrench in the works there as everybody struggles how to learn Spa in the dark.
It's true. The only track that had any chance of precipitation, we just finished it there at Sebring. I know Barney was saying he's remissing the fact that there's no Suzuka out there, and certainly when he says that, he means Suzuka in the wet. It would have been really interesting to see what this car would have been like with rain tires, some significant tire degradation, fuel deplete, like that. That could have been a real heck of a combination of things there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound enjoyable to me, but Barney can sell the viewers on whatever he likes.
Well, he obviously didn't. He either didn't partake in the guessing, or he didn't get the car correct there to be able to pick the Suzuka track like he normally does.
Well, we did something a little different. That was part of the surprise we kind of hinted at last season. Is that throughout that entire season we had voting for everyone's favorite track?
Ah, yes.
So we used that voting to put together the entire schedule this season. So as we're running through the tracks, we're working through everybody's favorite as they voted, which culminates at the best track according to our drivers, which is the Endurance at Bathurst.
At Bathurst, yeah. And there you go, Barney. Nobody, well, Suzuka did not make the list of top 9.
No, he wasn't successful in his campaign to sway the votes towards Suzuka.
Which track? There are a lot of exciting ones. Like I love the fact that Mugello is going to be a full circuit race. Like I said, Watkins Glen. Every time FM4 has been out to Watkins Glen, I feel like it's been a memorable race. Coming back for me to both the Italian tracks in Mugello and Monza's great Laguna Seca, which is by far my favorite track in Forza Motorsport 7. Awesome to see that one on the calendar for week number 4, followed by Road America and that bull circuit, Mount Panorama Bathurst. Like, which one are you most excited about?
It probably would have been Sonoma tonight, and then going forward, it would be Watkins Glen. Those are two of my favorite tracks.
Okay. Watkins Glen, I don't know what it is, but that one always seems to churn out like a very close, competitive, and exciting event. Sadly, won't be here for it, and it is the alternate track, which is that the shorter one, or does that include the boot?
It includes the boot, but it doesn't have the bus stop.
That's right. Okay.
So it's the older layout.
No bus stop on the backstretch there at Watkins Glen. So we'll pick things back up on week number 3 here with the broadcast, and certainly we'll tee things off with what the standings are entering week number 3 after week number 2 festivities go down. Well done, Slow Motion Fire, and of course your gang of folks who helped put things on. Really good start here. Awesome to see the number of competitors back up. Hopefully folks continue with season 45 here and see it all the way through season or week number 5. And all in all, what seems to be a great pick here by LS Subaru. 4-time champion. I don't know, from your perspective, do you think he's gonna? I mean, he was already talked about not participating in week number 5. That's how confident Subaru seems to be. Do you think he's got 4 straight championships in the bag?
Well, after what we saw tonight with Huracan, I think if anybody can bring the fight to him, it's going to be Huracan. So we'll see how that plays out.
We'll see. And I know Huracan was saying that, unfortunately, maybe a little bit of lag coming into play with that race can tend to happen every once in a while when you've got drivers scattered all across the globe. And so hopefully the lag issues will be minimal here moving forward. So much fire. Awesome chat with you. Anything you'd like to say? I think you're the last one, so parting words go to you.
Just shout out to all the drivers this season. It's good. We got 8. I think we had 17 cars in the field tonight, so it's good to see more people out there, but we still have spots available. So if you're interested, sign up. You're welcome to race with us. And shout out to you, Dustin. Thanks for another great broadcast and another good season.
You bet. I'm looking forward to it. Even though I'll miss week number 2, I'll be geared up and ready to go coming back on to week number 3. And I don't know. I have a feeling like this one is going to come down to the wire. I know Subaru's optimistic that he won't have to compete in week number 5, but I hope I come back and we've got a different story to be told here as we march toward the finale. So much fire. Always great chatting with you. I'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.
All right. Have a good one, Dustin. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That's it, folks, for tonight's action. Again, we'll take a quick look at the schedule here because, again, unfortunately, but at the same time fortunate, I get a chance to spend some time with some family. Week number 2, I won't be here. That's a week from tonight, March 15th, rather. Circuit Day Spa. They'll do the 12 laps at night, and then they'll have Watkins Glen at the alternate circuit for 15 laps. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time, March the 22nd, Mugello, followed by Monza. 2 Italian tracks for an Italian car. You don't want to miss that. I mean, after tonight, if you're not booking week number 3 on your calendar and blocking it out and making sure that you're here, then I don't know what else you're doing on a Tuesday night. You're doing it wrong. Hope to see you here on March 22nd, and then, of course, the 29th for Mazda, which that's going to be I have a feeling right now. I know I make these predictions ahead of time, and sometimes they don't come to fruition, but I'm just thinking that race there in week number 4 at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is going to be my favorite. I'm calling it now, followed by Road America, and then Mount Panorama Bathurst for race number 9 in week number 5. That could be like, what? 4 or 5 pit stops. That race could be the longest week 5 finale that we've ever had, just because we'll have a good 45 seconds worth of pit stops times 4 or 5. We'll have to see. Anyway, I'll look forward to being back here in 2 weeks. Again, we'll look at that. We'll look at the standings. Of course, I'll put the points together after things shape up out of week number 2. So that way, when week 3 comes around, we'll pick right back up, get into the thick of the action, and take this all the way to week number 5. I appreciate all the viewers who were here today. It was good to see like I said, good to see the numbers up to where they were here, and hopefully we can keep that up, not only on the viewership side, but then also on the racing side. If you want to race with the FM4 crew, decide now and commit to it. Reddit.com/r/FM4 is where all the information is. Just go there. See what you have to do. It really isn't much. You just put the upgrades to the car, get your practice in if you want, or you could be team no practice. Get your practice in for week number 2 if you desire, and see if you can't get on the top 20 of our leaderboard here on the broadcast. All right, that's my challenge to you. Make it happen, and perhaps if you're watching, maybe you're one of the drivers who can be an additional competitor to LS Subaru and try to stop that 4-time championship from happening. That would be the first time ever in the Forza Spec Racing Series if he's able to pull it off here. It's gonna be tricky. I mean, able to get 2 wins here tonight in week number 1, but AMS Huracan shows that it's not going to be, even though that's 2 first place finishes, it's not going to be that easy. On paper, it looks like it might have been easy. Certainly what we saw here today is proof that it won't be. It won't be easy. I'm almost certain of it. Y'all take care. Have a great, I don't know, I usually say great rest of the night, great rest of the week, but because I won't be here for quite some time, I hope you all have a lovely, 2 weeks, because as it states here, I'll be back March 22nd, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on Xventure, live on Twitch TV. I'm almost out of energy, but really, I'm kind of psyched after everything. Stay happy, stay healthy. Adios. Farewell. We'll see you guys later. If you got any more racing action in, or getting any more racing action in, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. Yeah. Forgot that part. I was trying to hit the peg here. There's a part where the song kicks in. Here, I'll just kind of drag this out a little bit. I was wearing a Taco Bell shirt tonight. That was fun. Who knows what I'll have 2 weeks from now. There it is. I've missed the peg now. For realsies. Y'all take care.